Hi everyone. God, it's freezing. My name is Stephen J. Humphrey, independent candidate for Bournemouth East when eventually we get a general election, and I'll keep saying it and saying it and saying it again and again and again, because like Churchill said, God, 70 years ago, we will never surrender! And we'll fight them on the beaches, in the air, on the sea and on the land. And because we're surrounded by traitors. And perhaps it would be helpful if I gave you a definition of treason before it was bloody amended by Tony bloody Blair. Bloody war criminal. Treason is defined on Wikipedia and the Oxford English Dictionary and places like that as simply an act of betrayal. So if your boyfriend betrays you to the pigs and grasses you up for cocaine dealing, then that's betrayal. That is an act of treason. Now the difference between a criminal betrayal and the high treason that we allege against Her Majesty's government and EU Parliament, etc. et al., is that it's a betrayal of the people. It don't really matter that they've committed war crimes. The fact is that they've committed treason against our will and tried to pervert the course of justice by preventing us from examining the issues. And to be honest, I'm betrayed. And puppy dogs coming up. And I thought that maybe a civil action at the EU Ombudsman would be a good place to go, and would be good PR to get these traitors out of office. And we can then move on. Because personally I'm more interested in putting solar power on the roof. I'd rather spend all the money that we spend on war and war crimes and genocide and building the weapons of war. I mean, we could logically completely disband every single military armed force in the world and sack every single soldier in the planet. Because who's actually perpetuating these wars? Is it me and you? Is it the people of the world calling out genocide and enacting war crimes? Are we, the people, the ordinary citizens of this planet, are we committing war crimes? I mean, the Nuremberg defence was that we were only following orders, and if we didn't follow those orders we would have been shot and killed. Well, as the Charles Menendez case proves, and to some extent the Ian Tomlinson case at the G20 protest in London illustrates, we the people, the citizens of the world, regularly get killed. So it is the Ian Tomlinson death, tragic though it is, and condolences to his family and so forth, could that be construed as a war crime? Because for years they've been calling the military action against terrorism as a war on terror. Not a war against people, not a war against countries, not a war against injustice or climate change or even religion, like that church there. the Jesuit church, by the way. Very nice. Did Ian Tomlinson die in a war on terror? Was he a victim of war? Because you can argue that the police, especially the Metropolitan Police, on at least 26 documented occasions, see Chris Coverdale's makewarshistory.org.uk for more info, and I think you can certainly find him on Facebook. Make Wars History, all one word. Just Google it and you'll find Chris Coverdale. Anyway, he's tried 26 times to get some kind of prosecution going on these alleged war crimes and genocide and crimes ancillary to genocide. 26 separate occasions, and he's posted letters off to the chief constables of every single police constabulary in the UK, and now I've done the same to the EU Parliament via the EU Ombudsman at ombudsman.europa.eu, right? So there's what did he say, 50 odd police constables, chief constables. So there's the best part of 100 separate complaints filed in the relevant court of law. 100. And there's loads. I mean, Saddam Hussein was eventually captured and prosecuted. Why can't we eventually capture and prosecute Tony Blair? Because if he's innocent, if he acted in good faith, as I did when I defended my right to drive my van to a job interview 3 years ago. God, is it 3 years already since I lost my van? If he's got nothing to fear, why doesn't he just say, okay, fine, I put my hands up, I'd like to be arrested for war crimes, and then yeah, okay, I'll sit in jail for 12 months while we process the claim, or maybe I'll get my wife, if I was Tony Blair, of course, to be my defence lawyer. I mean, he's married to a QC, Tony Blair, married to a Queen's Counsel. So she is among the highest court appointed officials in this country called England. She works for him. And she could quite happily defend her husband, although I think there's a severe conflict of interest, but fuck it, she's a QC, she can do what she likes. She's working on behalf of the Crown. And I would sit it out. I would take the press. I would have all the evidence examined in the highest court of the land, and I would ask the question, am I guilty of war crimes or not? Now, if he's innocent, e.g. has not committed war crimes, then he'll be released with no charge. The same as if I'm arrested for drug possession or suspicion of drug possession, and the cop was found no drugs on me and no other ancillary crimes, then I get released. I mean, I know of people who have sat for 27 years in jail only to be found innocent at the end of that fucking course of history. 27 years for falsely confessing to a crime. Gordon Bennett. And there's Tony Blair hiding. There's the Israeli Defence Minister hiding. There's former Prime Minister Sharon hiding. And they're all hiding from justice. And if I was if Tony Blair was anything like a Winston Churchill, he would quite happily stand up in trial and accept the charge. Am I a war criminal or not? And if I'm not, let me go. But here's the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And that's my latest 10-minute blog on this. I think it's a good question. Am I guilty of war crimes or not? And that's the whole premise of any trial. Am I guilty of war crimes or not? Am I guilty of genocide? Am I guilty of any crimes ancillary to war crimes? And I'll see you later.